Hello, everyone. Mike from Imperial Tropicals is here. How you doing? So, hope everybody's having a good week. Mike B is on vacation, so they asked me to fill in this week. So you guys got to deal with me. So I hope everyone's doing good. It's been a crazy hot summer. I know that we've had lots of projects going on, and it's been so hot this summer. So I hope everyone is staying hydrated and still hopefully uh, you're outdoors when it's not so hot because here in Florida it's like a sauna every day, even in the morning before daylight. So one thing is, Mike B's been doing a giveaway every week for numbers. So Jared asked me to go ahead and bring that up in the beginning. So we are giving away two $25 gift cards that you can use on our website, and you just have to pick a number 1 through 250, and then towards the end of this video, we're going to pick the winners. So those numbers have already been predetermined, and they're written down on this piece of paper right here, I think. Yep. One for Facebook and one for YouTube. So, good luck with everyone with that. And then they also, I know last week, Mike B had showed you guys the new Brazil fish. So those fish are doing very well. We still have them in quarantine. So that's not unusual. We like to have these new arrivals and for at least a minimum of 1 to 2 weeks before we start shipping them out because of their stress coming in, and we have to make sure that they're don't have any parasites, no bacteria issues, no worms. So they go through a series of treatments and observation to make sure that they're 100% ready by the time we start shipping them out. So the best way to be, in touch with what fish are available is our weekly newsletter. So every week, Carly's been working very hard getting our newsletter out, let everybody know like what the new arrivals are, and then she also creates a sales list of what fish are for sale. So you could go ahead and you know subscribe to that newsletter, and every Friday at like I want to say around 3 p.m. I think it is that they send that letter out, and then you could basically be up to date with all the new arrivals and what fish are breeding that week. I think there's a breeding section on that newsletter that we've been keeping updated. So sign up for that newsletter. Also, you could email us if you have any questions. So if you are messaging us through social media, we're not very good, I'll be honest with you, at replying. Most of those I have set to where it automatically replies that, hey, we don't, you know, spend a lot of time on social media and the messenger chat. So please, send us an email. And if you send us email Monday through Friday, we're going to answer that email pretty quickly. The weekends, of course, we're not working, so we don't answer the emails over the weekend. But that's just kind of the way it rolls. So with that being said, go ahead and start choosing your numbers, and then by the end of this video, we're going to choose a winner. So I know every week probably you guys see these tanks, but we're going to show you the big show tanks. I need to try to figure out how to flip the screen around because I think you got to go into settings, camera, and then front camera, back. Okay, here we go. So I don't do this every week, so it takes me a little bit. This is our all male peacock and half tank. So I don't know why we didn't do this setup a long time ago with this tank. Not that I did not like the other, tanks, but it really has been phenomenal to show everyone the quality of our peacocks and haps. And you can see them like following me around, wanting some food. So let's go ahead and bring them to this side of the tank. But yeah, it's been a hit with everyone. Everybody that comes in, they're like, wow, that's a really amazing tank. A lot of people that, don't know a lot about fish, they are like, oh, that looks like saltwater fish. And of course, we explain to them that they're not. They're just really colorful freshwater. So really proud of that tank. Derek has been taking care of these tanks, and he's doing a great job with it. They're looking so much better. So then we have the South American tank. These pikes, the Zabrina pikes. There's one there. There's one on the other side. Let's see if I can get. In fact, I think this is the female, judging on her belly. Um, I think they're wanting to breed, so that's pretty cool. The downside is that they don't have a cave. I have this small cave here, but that's not really big enough. And then the other downside is that they're starting to beat up some of the other fish in the tank, and that's one reason I think they're really trying to get territorial. And we're probably going to have to make some changes to the tank to keep them from hurting any of the other fish, because really for probably the past year we have had no issues with them being in the tank with these other fish. But all of a sudden, it seems like the last few weeks, probably because it's been so hot, that they've been getting territorial. So I'm not sure what we're going to do. I wish the new building we had the 125s up, because I probably could house them in a 125 temporarily, even though long term I think it needs to be bigger. Um, but and then on top of that, we had another pair of Zabrinas. I'll show you those here in a little bit, that a friend of ours gave us because they were in his tank down in Fort Lauderdale, and he said that they were beating up his fish in his tank, so he brought them up here to us. So we're going. That was Michael O'Neill. So we're going to. So we'll have two pairs of Zabrina pikes. The other pair, they're not quite as big as these, but they're still, a good size. Uh, we've been growing up these albino hecali in this planet tank, and they're looking phenomenal. Everybody likes them, but at some point we're going to pull these guys out, especially when the new breeding room's ready. We're going to make room for like these Altums, Discus. We took a lot of the Tetras out because those guys are going to be saved back for breeders. So we got the show tanks are looking really, really nice. Super excited about it. Um, these are all going to be peacocks and haps. So we're getting some really nice males in finally that we've been out of for a long time. Uh, so it's been a good because we were out of a lot of these fish for a good part of the springtime and wintertime. So, you know, the one complaint that we always get that I wish we didn't get, but it's just part of it, is that, if you go on our website, there's a lot of fish out of stock. And, I wish we could just like make these fish, appear, you know, um, without having to make them breed and raise the babies, like use cookie cutters. But when, anybody that's a breeder knows that it's not easy. First you have to condition the fish, create the environment for them to breed. And then once they breed, you got to save this, safely collect the babies. And then once you get the babies, you have to raise them up to an adult size, especially for the peacocks and haps. So it's a lot to it. It's not easy. So we are, getting a lot of fish back in stock that have been out of stock for quite some time. So we're excited about that. One fish in particular, and I'll show you here in a little bit, is the Geophagus savini. That fish has been out of stock for a good most of the year, and we're just finally getting those guys back. So I'm excited about that. Uh, One thing that they have on my list here to show you guys is that we got a Peru order in actually yesterday. And this is one of them right here. And this is actually my wife's, one of her favorite fish. And it's the South American leaf fish. Um, so we are going to end up putting some oak leaves in there. And it's amazing how those fish will get right up next to the branches and blend right in with the leaves. So really, really cool fish. I will say that this fish is a little bit more difficult to care for. So, you don't really shouldn't just buy this fish and throw it into a, community tank without knowing how to care for these fish. Uh, they do like live foods, especially in the beginning, and that's not easy for, your typical hobbyist to have a fresh supply of live foods. So we do try to get them on like bloodworms and frozen brine shrimp and mysis, but in the beginning, we're mostly feeding them live food. So, and whenever we do put them up for sale, we'll let everybody know, the best way to take care of them. Um, since I'm over here by them, we have a new Episto that we brought in from a really talented breeder in Asia that, we've never had this Episto, and I'm really impressed with it. In fact, they've already bred once in our tank. So you can see the females are all golden, ready to, and breeding dress already. And the males are very colorful. That's the Rio Mamor Epistogramma. So pretty cool. And then let's go over the Peru ones. So this is the emerald green brooches. So really, always been one of my favorite quarries. In fact, I really want to keep a group of these in the big show tank, South American tank. Um, they get, a little bit, bigger than some of the other quarries, but still not huge. And they get almost like a bright glowing green. This is another update. The opals, which the Borlei epistogramma is one that we used to have a really good strain back in the day, and then we ended up losing it. So we couldn't find a good strain of these, and recently we brought some in from that same breeder overseas, and we've been super happy with these guys. It's a really high quality Borlei strain, and they've already spawned once. And Derek pulled the eggs, and he's got them hatched out in a bucket. So we're super excited that those guys have already spawned for us. So um, let me look at. It's probably going to send me all over, but let's look at H33 is the Corridorus fowleri. So let me go to H33. You're probably going to see me like zoom in back and forth around this rack because all the South American Peru fish that came in were put on this rack. So here's some of the discus from the other day. Those also came from a breeder over in Asia, and those guys are looking really nice too. We did get some of the tigers, tigurium catfish. Those are they get really big. Those are not for your average fish tank. Those are some of the rummy nose. Those are some that we have for sale. Those are a good size. We got the bumblebee autos. This is a Peru autocinculus that stays small. So it's a small dwarf catfish basically. I can't zoom in on them, but they're really cool. I like all the different autos. So H33. Here's the Corridorus fowleri. So those are really nice. Yeah. So those guys are looking good. And sorry, I'm not looking at the comments. Um, just I have a hard time walking around and looking for all these fish and keeping up with the comments. I'll try to keep up with the comments after I show you some of these Peru fish. So this is the bumblebee autocinculus. Um, those guys are really nice too. So I like the dwarf catfish. They're really cool, unique, peaceful fish that are really popular in the hobby. So let's go to H1, and we're going to look at one of the red pencil fish. H1. Oh, he's going to be on the opposite end. Oh, well, here's one of the cool red pencils. These are really good size. Look at those guys. Really nice. Yeah, yeah. The cool reds have always been one of my favorite. All right, let's see. There it is, H1. I must have walked by it on this side. Oh, yeah, here they are. So this is a Sinepa. Really, really nice. Beautiful fish. As much as I like, my African cichlids, I have a thing for community South American fish. Oh, there's some more leaf fish. Here's the Zabrina pike. You can see one of them sticking his head out of a pipe there. He's backing up now. So they're a good size too. We're excited. There's one there. So and they were a pair in a tank, and they were actually getting along. So that's pretty exciting. H40 is the other tank. So we brought in two types of those new pencil fish. H40. Oh, maybe that was, yeah, this was the H40, H1, H37. That's the red coral. Okay, that's the two types then. So we got the Sinepa and then we got the red corals. So so those are going to be, if everything goes well, they're going to be available really soon. Um, Let me look at what else. So H18, that's the spectacle. H18. These guys are small. Wow, really small. But they're cool. It's another little dwarf species, catfish. All right, so that's all the proof fish. It wasn't a huge order, which is good because we're probably going to be having a shipment come in from Colombia because we're out of cardinals and a lot of other fish. So I'm gonna try to get some of the comments. Let me see from see if I can get to the comment section. All right, I see Ali Sean. Nice. All right. Ah, you guys got a lot of comments. Jody says Borley are one of my favorites. Yeah, they are. They really are. They're just, you know, they don't get too big. They're very colorful. Let me go over here and I'm gonna park the camera in front of a tank so you guys could at least stare at something while I go over these comments. Like these 135 worm lines, which was one of my fish that I've been trying for years to get and was super excited to finally receive some. Barbara's asking if any new tetras came in. Uh, Not on that Peru order. And then on the Brazil order, we did bring in some cherry tetras, and then we brought in another rare tetra. Trying to remember the name of it. If you want, you could email us, and if you're interested. I know a lot of this stuff we are saving for breeders for the new breeding room, but if you guys are interested in some of the wild catchers that are more rare, we probably can. So yeah, Sonny, I bet someone has that old strain in a basement somewhere because we that Borlea that we used to have, it was super popular. The blue rams. So if it's the German blue rams, I know we have another batch. So if you email us, we might be able to put some more back on the website. But whenever we're out on the website, you can sign up for the email notification. And I recommend on some of that stuff, like the Savannah, when they go up, if they're not already up, I don't think they go up until 3. So you guys are going to get a head start on it. When we do put them up for sale, they go really fast. So do the out of stock email, and you'll get an email notification whenever we have them back in stock. So and then you can always email us too. Like yeah, that's the Tigrina shovel nose, Ali Sean. It threw me off with not having the common name up there. Mike Powell's asking if we have any bristlenose plecos. Can I see them? Yes, we do. So, so a lot of those we breed in house, or we also have local breeders that breed some of them for us. So, um, like here's the green dragon. They're kind of stuck to the sponge filter right there, so I don't know how well they're showing up. Here's some of the blue-eyed lemons. They're all kind of hanging around that piece of driftwood right there. Here's your regular albino. A lot of them are behind the filter right there, but these guys are looking good. Some more blue-eyed lemons in this tank. We got some really big long fin green dragon. Those are like 3 to 4 inch. There's one on the glass right there. Here's some of the long fin chocolates. Those look phenomenal too. And then some of the regular chocolates. And then more regular chocolates. Some long fin green, bushy nose. And some Pandagaras. Those are really cool. Not a bushy nose, but a really nice one. There's some chocolates. Those are good size. I think you had some super reds in too. More chocolates. Some calicos. There's not a lot of calicos left, but we do have some nice calicos in there. I only see like a handful of them. There's some super reds. They are kind of small though. Those might not even be up. They're so small. They're like probably barely an inch long. So we do have. There's some of the bushy nose. So um, yeah, Jay's saying you guys are always out of stock. It is, but it's also, a lot of these strains, Jay, that are like, especially man-made ones, once they're gone, it's not easy to replace, right? So even when you import in a rare fish, we might make a listing for it, and then that fish isn't available again. So it's not easy to keep everything in stock at all times. In fact, we would probably have to build another building the same size as this one, which is 100 by 100, if we kept all the fish in stock that we ever had in the past. But yeah, you're right. The breeding is where it's at, because it's not just me, that is out of the fish. A lot of these fish are not available in the hobby. So that's one reason we're expanding our breeding facility to house the more breeders and breed more types. This is the other tetra we brought in from Brazil. This is the Nego Dago tetra, and really, really nice. In fact, we bred this fish in the past, and we're going to save a lot of these back for future breeders again, because it's such a nice fish. See the big sign. I'm gonna have to put big signs on some of these fish. This is the Bumblebee Oscars. Those have been in a while, so we're waiting on the new building to have those guys up and ready. This is the Lepidopterus, the Retroculus. You can see that male right there on top of that driftwood. Those will actually save back for breeders also. Um, so really excited about those guys. Did you need me? Yep, I see a pin note. So Geophagus Altamira, somebody wants to see. So L, are they L7 and L10? Is what Carly said. Um, L7 and L10. Yep. So here's the Altamira Geophagus. This one's got better lighting. They're not showing a lot of color at this size. They're just, still in that juvenile stage, but it's a really nice, rare Geophagus. So we also got these pikes in last week. That's the dwarf pike from Preciceps. They're feisty little guys, but they are really cool, especially because they don't get very big. Trying to get through these questions. Somebody's asking me to help diagnose. So whenever you need a diagnosis, it's best if you email me with like specifics. And I can tell you, like, we're after doing this for many years, we've gotten pretty good at helping diagnose issues. So don't hesitate. Um, And yeah, it doesn't matter if you bought the fish from us or where they came from. If you just email me a breakdown of the issue and just give me as much info as you possibly can and send an email through the website and we're going to help you. So, and, I'll just say this without knowing the nothing about the issue that almost all, fish health issues are traced back to water quality. All right. So it could be that you have fish that require really soft water and you have them in hard water or vice versa. It could be that you have them where they're in a tank where the fish are getting fed the wrong food or uneaten food. It could be stress from having fish that are not compatible. Um, that will that could be a health issue with fish from the stress. So so just make sure you're doing your water changes to keep the water quality up, and then make sure you got the right fish in the tank that are compatible with each other. So and like email me. So Ali Sean is asking, is there a reason why there are no juvenile Zabrina pike in the hobby? Only seen adults. So it's because they're all wild caught. And for the longest time, they could not tell for sure which Zabrina pike juveniles were which, where they came from in the river. Plus, they got, full price for adults that they really didn't offer the juveniles very often. And like I said, the juvenile Zabrina, it looks just like all the other pike cichlids when they're small. You really, they have zero color. And so, but the past few years, we have had opportunities to buy juvenile Zabrina pikes. And I bought some last year and we kept them around for a good while and grew some up, and they started showing the adult characteristics and the color. They weren't full color, but you could start seeing the yellow and the orange coming out on them. So, but yeah, they're only from the wild, so nobody in captivity has had success breeding them, and that's one thing that we hope to change because I feel like we could breed them. I really do. I think it's they They just need the right environment and the right diet and the right conditions. And I think, I think they could reproduce in captivity. So just just a really cool project that I'm excited that we're going to be able to work on. In the past, I didn't really have the setup, proper setup because they are going to need a big tank. You know, I'm probably going to start them off in a 125, but if I feel like a 125 is not big enough, then we'll probably have to move them to like a 180 or even bigger. So I'm going through these messages. Marcus, they're possibly not on the website, the dwarf autocinkless. Some of these were new types, so we're going to not only, have to get them through quarantine, but we're going to have to get pictures of them. And Carly writes up all the detailed descriptions on these fish, so it's going to take some research. Gabrielle, how many tiger barbs in stock? The website is our best method. And if you see that there's not enough of them for you on the website, shoot us an email. The tiger barbs, we actually get them from a local breeder, and that's something that we're rarely out of. So if we are, we can always get more. Um, what else? Yeah, the star sapphires are starting to show some chipping. Um, So this is actually our second strain. So we have one that came from a guy in California. This other one I brought in from Germany, and I will say that the California strain that I had was it seemed to chip out at a younger age, but these are like 5 to 6, and they're starting to chip now. But a lot of that is based on their growth rate, right? So if they grow really fast, you know, in a big environment like they do in nature, then it's more of an age factor with when they start chipping. The ones that, because I've seen them chip as early in people's tanks as like 3 inches, that's rare though. Usually around 4 inches, you'll start seeing some chipping. But when I talk to them about how long they've had the fish is about a year old. That they grew up, from a fry, and they've had it in a 40-gallon tank its whole life. So it never really reached optimal growth, and a bigger environment. So those fish will start chipping earlier. One thing is that could only help is when we are selecting our breeders. When we see one that chips early, we do try to separate it out. So maybe that characteristic can be passed on. But yeah, those are starting to chip. Those bigger ones. All right. Um, Sherry's asking if we breed albino redheads. No, we've tried. The eggs were infertile each time, and I ended up sending my breeders over to a friend of mine locally that breeds, and he was going to cross them with a standard redhead, like pair, have the split gene, and I think he's still working on that. But yeah, I don't know what the deal was. Like we grew them up, they started breeding, laying eggs, but every time the eggs would not hatch. So I have a friend in Indonesia that breeds them, and it's been so hard to get fish in from over there. One is the freight has gotten just outrageous with shipping, but we will have some in the future. So, Ali Sean's asking about the 135s. If I had to say, they're close to like, I'd say they're probably listed at 2 to 3 inch, the 135 worm line. Um, Steve Jones is asking if we order Geophagus in or breed them. We do both. We breed a lot of our own geos, but we're always bringing in any cool geo that we find. The geophagus are some of our favorite fish. Oh, Savini, I see you finished it. We breed them in house, so I have another friend that breeds them also, but he's been out, I've been out, so we're just now getting back um, into them. So Yeah, it's been months since they've been available. Right. So I'm just going through all the questions. So sorry, guys. At least you got some really cool fish. These are the L134 leopard frog. This has always been one of my personal favorites. It was the first Picoltia type that I've ever bred. This is probably about 20 years ago, and I was not having any success breeding them. In fact, the females were like just gravid with eggs, and I could not trigger them. And one day, this is in my house, not at the farm. One day I was doing water changes, and instead of making the RO into a bucket and then, pouring it into the tank, I just set the RO unit on top of the aquarium and was making it straight into the tank. And by doing that, it was, probably a conductivity of like 5 coming out, and the water temp was probably around 72 coming out. And it would take it was a 100 gallon a day unit, so it was in like a 55 gallon tank. So it was over a period of a couple hours of it slowly, you know peeing in the 72-degree RO water. And while the tank was filling up, the pair trapped and spawned in the tank. Um, so that's the same way that a lot of people are breeding the Altums and some of the other hard to breed fish from the Amazon. Is they're replicating the rainy season. So, oh, Kim's asking about electric blue rams. So we are breeding those in house. We're not having a lot of production yet because we only started with a small group. I want to say we did bring in some recently, so those might be available on the website, but maybe Carly could check on that. If not, you can email us. Uh, I appreciate that, John Smith. So, um, Bayou 504 CTC says, I'm dealing with ick right now in one aquarium where I messed up, temporarily put 3 goldfish in water for one day, mad at myself. Yeah, Um, goldfish in tanks are not good. We don't like goldfish. They do much better in ponds, but I know it's been popular over the years. Some people do keep some of the decorative goldfish inside, but they're actually more of a cooler water fish that they don't like high temps. But I'll just say this: ick is really easy to take care of. It's one of the most common parasites in the hobby, and unfortunately, that parasite is always going to be an issue, but it's very easy to treat if you catch it early on. So I personally have gone to a salt treatment for most of my ick, and it's based on salinity. So you want your salinity to be 3 to 4 parts per thousand. To give you an example, salt water is like 32. So you're just a fraction, 10% of what salt water is. So it's not outrageous, but if you raise the salinity up high enough, it's going to kill the ick every time it hatches out. And don't feed the fish while they're going through ick, but it's very easy to treat. But there's also other options. One is a copper-based treatment. The other is quick cure. Um, those are about the 3, main treatments for ick. So, but good luck with it. Yep, I showed the Retroclus off a little while ago. So those are awesome. I really, a friend of mine bred the Retroclus lepidifers, and then he bred the Retroclus shinguensis. Um, a lot of people, he didn't write articles and stuff about it, but he was probably one of the first people to have success, especially with the shinguensis. And they weren't that hard to breed. So we're hoping to replicate that. All right, I'm still going through these questions. Yeah, Dargo says he got 4 lepidopters from you, and they are wonderful. They are really cool fish. Right. All right. So, guys, trying to get back to the camera. So I can't go through all these comments. Hopefully, Carly got you guys hooked up because she's been, I know, helping out with the comments section. But we're approaching the 40-minute mark, so we're going to go ahead and call the numbers to the winners out. So I've got it right here, and just so you know, so that it was already predetermined. So Facebook is number 34, and then YouTube number is 125. So I know Carly is going to go back and look, at all the numbers that were put in previous to 12:40 p.m. and find out who was closest to those numbers. And I was talking to Jared earlier. We're going to be mixing that up in the future. We're still going to be doing a giveaway, but we're going to be mixing it up. So next week, expect to get a new opportunity at the giveaways. Um, Carly's going to be looking up the numbers and she will post the winners. All you have to do is email us, and we're going to hook you up with a promo code with the winning amount. This is our plants. We've been having really, really good success with our plants. We had troubles in the beginning because we would buy them, from a plant grower, and a lot of them are going out of the water. So when we brought them in, there'd be a die off because they were being submerged. But one thing that has really helped us with our plants is we added CO2 to our tanks, and so each one of these tanks are getting a small amount of CO2, and it's been really nice for the plants rebounding back, right? So they still have a little bit of die off when they first go in our tanks, but they seem to be doing really well. And what I noticed is like the red plants in the past, you would see just a little bit of red on them, and now they're like, you know, they're getting brightly red. So, which I think is really cool. So, so the plants are doing really well. Excited about that. All right. So I think that's pretty much it. We're going to flip this camera around, and I'm going to tell you guys, our goodbyes. And I don't think that I need to stay around for the winter. So, uh, so I appreciate everybody that joined in today and got to check out our facility here. If you're new, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We also have a Facebook group called Imperial Tropicals Fish Keepers. That is a private group that you're more than welcome to join. And there's, I want to say, over 10,000 people in the group that are very talented fish keepers, or a lot of them are beginners, and they're there to learn more. So we like the group because it's a group that doesn't have toxic things going on in it where people are constantly criticizing. Like if you post up a picture or video of your tank and you've got Labunas and South American fish in the same tank, somebody is probably quickly going to tell you that, hey, that's not good and you shouldn't do that. But they're not going to do it in such a way that you feel like, terrible about it. They're just going to try to educate you, because getting angry and saying, hey, you're an idiot for mixing fish like that is not the right way to educate people in the hobby. We want people to have success. So, so if you want to learn the proper techniques of fish keeping, please join the hobby. If you're the type of person that likes to help other people, then please join the group and, try to help each other. The group is not for spamming though. So a lot of people do join the group and they just start spamming the group, trying to promote, themselves or their fish company or whatever. And that won't fly. So just, we created the group to help people, not promote, um, YouTube channels and all that. So join the group if you want to learn more. Um, Email us if you have any questions. Other than that, you guys have a good weekend. I'm sure Mike B should be back next week. So Um, Hopefully you'll see him next Friday. So thank you guys. Have a good weekend. Goodbye.